Hello, everybody, and welcome back to PSGL. After break week, we are here back for PSF2 in Imola, a wonderful circuit with a lot of history. Just under 5 kilometers and 19, well, official corners on this circuit, and I'm sure we're going to get some fantastic racing today. I'm your commentator, Ghost, as usual, with my co-commentator for this season, Nathan. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm alright, Ghost. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Doing good. You looking forward to today?
Absolutely. The Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, it always throws a spanner in the works when it pops up on the calendar, and you get that DRS train all the way up to turn 1, and you get the drivers out front just trying to defend and hold on. It'll be a really exciting evening of Grand Prix racing here in PSGL.
It absolutely will, yeah. Very much looking forward to this one. It'll be interesting to see if the break week has affected any of the drivers, whether they've used it to get more practice in, or whether it's going to be a bit of a break in the momentum, because that's certainly what the rest of the grid would have wanted to happen to Evan Nye, who's won the last 2 races on the bounce and has a fairly substantial lead in the Drivers' Championship already, with just 3 races into the season. So we'll see if he comes back just as strong as ever today, but with 15 other drivers on the grid, ready and raring to go to try and beat him. It looks like SCI Jensen is coming around the final corner now, Nathan. If you want to take us through a lap of Imola on board with him.
So we are on board with the Racing Bull of SCI Jensen as we use our DRS just onto the battery as well to get back up to speed. You don't want to use it all as we go in towards turn 2 at Tamburello as he goes out wide, guides over the apex through turn 3 and then on to turn 4, just hugging the chicane as we come out of turn 4 down towards Varante Villeneuve at turn 5 and 6. Just eases off the throttle, a little bit of a snap, just trying to keep control of that Racing Bull as we go in towards Tulsa at turn 7. You go slightly uphill now and then back onto the battery again, just feathering that throttle as we go up and back down in towards Piratella, and then around at turn 9, back down towards turn 10, towards Aqua Minerale through turn 11 and 12. And this is a very tricky part of the circuit, but he absolutely executes it as he comes up towards Varante Alta at turn 14 and 15. This is the snap right and left, and that is beautifully done by Jensen, and he uses the outside curb. He's using every single millimetre of this track here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, down towards Ravazza at turn 17 and 18, a little bit deep in towards the first of the double left-handers, out of turn 18, down towards the line. He'll empty the tank now. DRS kicks in just before the line, and it's a 1:14.4 from Jensen.
I don't think he'll be particularly happy with that lap, as IRT Phil goes nearly 6/10 quicker, because did look very scrappy at a few corners and quite wide at the apex. There is our championship leader going to provisional pole. A 13.4 is a lot more like the pace I was expecting from PSF2 today. Spyros has gone to P3. We've got Astala going to 2nd place in the Mercedes. Great first effort from Astala there. We've got more drivers coming through. Raffi just under half a tenth away from our provisional pole sitter. VNT Tom goes to P4, and then across the line in that lovely chrome McLaren livery. Round the final corner comes Chris, and the man from Bulgaria is going to put his car into pole position to start off with. The reserve driver who was serving a race ban in Belgium back here for Imola, and a 13.3 is what he starts off with, but it's TRT Christian who beats it, and these times are coming in thick and fast, but they're so close together. The Ferrari driver next to get to provisional pole is going to be IRT Sieb, who's coming across the line to start his next run, as Zane in the other Ferrari coming through. That was perfect through Aqua Minerale there from the Ferrari driver, but you can see Jensen down in 11th place, so the scrappiness of that lap wasn't just visual, it definitely reflected on the stopwatch as well, as Zane coming down towards Ravazza now.
Yeah, absolutely. So Zane in towards turn 17 and 18, the Ferrari driver Can he get in front of his teammate of TRT Christian down towards the start-finish line? And TRT Zane with a 1:13.9. Did he invalidate it near the end? No, it's what he's down in P12, so he won't be happy with that lap. 6/10 off of his teammate's time. IRT Seb has also invalidated it in that Williams, so he's not going to be able to get a lap time on the board. Sapala in the Alpine, I don't know if he's actually on a lap because his first run was quite a way off the pace, but no, it's quite another scrappy one, but he is coming down towards the line. Here comes Sapala in the Alpine, and it is only P11, so the drivers are definitely struggling out there already.
Yeah, the top 7 well clear of everyone else as it stands. 2/10 between P7 and 8. I think it's just under, but nearly a larger gap between 7th and 8th than it is between 7th and provisional pole. So there's quite a big gulf between the two halves of the grid at the moment. But we'll see if that changes. I'm sure there's plenty of improvements to come. We'll know that some drivers will not be happy with their initial laps. TRT Nico, by the way, is already out of the session. I'm not sure how that happened, but he was out before anyone even got out on track. So not sure why he's retired from the session there, but either way. Ivan Eskrig down in 5th at the moment, which is surprising. Expect him to be higher than this. After Belgium last week, where he was scintillatingly quick. But still, he's not far off, and he's well and truly in that top half group. Nathan, have you driven? How many times have you driven at Imola? How do you feel as qualifying is at this track?
I see. I like Imola. I think it's just a really nice track. It's one of them tracks where, as a racing driver, it's really enjoyable. You've got the twists and the turns. You've got the straights. You're on that throttle pedal quite a bit, and you've got to dive into the chicanes, especially when you're coming through Varante Villeneuve, through Tamburello, down in towards Tulsa. It's a really nice, smooth circuit. But if you make one mistake, it will cost you your whole lap. And there is so many places that you can make mistakes around here, especially going in towards sort of the end of Sector 2 and the start of Sector 3. And then when people are really pushing, the drivers are absolutely on them limits, and they're going down in towards Ravazza, that is where they'll tend to struggle, and that's where they'll just, that lack of concentration, that ever so slightly lack of concentration, will punish them, and their whole lap can be undone in a split second.
Absolutely right. Yeah, you can really attack the curbs at this circuit this year, as we've just seen Spyros do through the first few corners. And wow, that Mercedes just barely getting out the way in time. I don't know how Spyros sort of felt about that. That would have been Astala in the Mercedes, but the Red Bull driver just over 1.5 tenths up. But yeah, you can just completely cut every curb pretty much, and every corner on this circuit this year. And I'm not going to lie, it might be tricky to do, and it might be tricky to do without invalidating, but goodness me, it's satisfying when you get it right, this circuit this year. It's already a satisfying circuit, but I think it's a lot better to drive on this year. 2.5 tenths up for Spyros, so this could be a decent lap that gets him up to P8 at least in the Red Bull, as long as he can nail these last couple of corners. Now the double left-hander, nicely done over the curb there, and again at the final corner. That was pretty much spot on from Spyros as he heads down towards the line, and it's up to 5th place even. He joins the front half of the grid, and that's a great effort from Spyros after a lackluster first lap. We've got RT Phil coming through. Who's going to be next across the line? Jensen is invalidated, so nothing from him. What have you seen, Nathan?
Yeah, so Spyros just going in front of his teammate. Ivan Eskrig has just started his flying lap as well. It was amazing to see how much of the apex these drivers are able to cut without actually invalidating it. It just goes to show how special of a driver you need to be this quick in F1 25, to take that many chances. So we are on board with Ivan Eskrig. He's just coming in towards Piratella at turn 9 in the around 1.5 tenths off pole position at the moment, but he is finding some improvement in towards Aqua Minerale and then up towards Variante Alta at turn 14 and 15. He's 2.5 tenths up into the right and left hander, and you see how much of that apex he can take away. It is absolutely stunning from these drivers. This Red Bull coming back down the hill towards Ravazza in towards turn 17 we go. He rides over the curb to the left hand side, takes it wide so he can dive in to the final chicane. Millimeters separating invalidation to validation. Down towards the line is a 1:13.1 from Ivan Esquin in the Red Bull. That is phenomenal.
That is a fantastic qualifying time from Ivan Esquig, and more like what we were expecting from him today. Evan Nye's invalidated, and he's in Sector 1 at the moment, so he's going again on the same set of tyres. I saw the PSF3 champion Nico also invalidating his lap through the Variante Alta, just cut it a little bit too much at the chicane. But Evan Nye not really improving in that first sector, but on aging soft tyres it's going to be tricky because the tyre management is also more important on this year's game. We've got Chris also coming through, but he's not improving either, so he's going to go again on the same set. Christian has invalidated, so not a lot of improvements going on out there right now. Evan Nye invalidates again at the Variante Alta as well. So nothing from him either. Astala right now coming through Tosa and up towards Piratella. He was improving slightly in the first sector. Let's see if he can carry on that momentum in the middle part of the circuit as he heads down towards Aqua Minerale now. Let's see how much he cuts this curb on the right. Actually, not that much. I don't think he'll be particularly happy with that. But he comes over the sector line now, and he's a 10th up. So he's looking to get himself at least on the second row here, but too much again at Variante Alta. And that is beginning to look like a very common mistake in this qualifying session. Just a bit too much chop out of Variante Alta, Nathan.
Yeah, it's the drivers, they really are struggling with these type of track limits and invalidations, and like I said, when we're watching these guys and they are taking them chances and they are on the limits, it just takes that one mistake, as we said at the start of qualifying, and it can, undo all of the hard work that the drivers have put in. We do have, TRT Christian in the Ferrari. He's also invalidated it. IRT Seb has invalidated it as well. He's back into the pit lane. So there's no real drivers at the moment on a lap out there with 5.5 minutes to go. And it also looks very murky out there. The clouds are starting to grey up above these drivers.
Yeah, it does indeed. VNT Tom well down on his time, so I'm going to ride on board with Raffi in the Kicksauber. Never mind, he's into the pits, which is strange because he was on an out lap, so I'm not sure why he's come back in, unless there is rain indeed forecast. But why would you not even try to go for a lap? I guess he's trying to leave it till the last moment and doesn't want to waste a set of softs. But yeah, that's a bit strange from Raffi. I'm not sure why he's done that, but that does mean all 15 drivers are in the pits, Nathan. So we've got a little bit of time
something
here.
We don't.
Yeah, they might well do. So hello to everyone in the chat. Good to see you. Hello to Indigo. Yes, we are doing well. Thank you very much. We've got Tommy supporting Zane, as well as S Deem in the chat, both supporting Zane, who's currently sitting down in 13th on the grid. So he's got some work to do in that Ferrari. Looks like Jensen's first to head back out on circuit. Still hasn't improved after that scrappy lap we saw him do at the start of the session. So he was, I think, lamenting about his chances in qualifying today in the Discord prior to this race tonight. But you never know what can happen between practice and qualifying. And he's got one or two more attempts to rectify his current position.
Yeah, I think there's a lot left on the table here, especially for the likes of Jensen in that V-carb, and then all the other drivers that are still into the pit lane just waiting for the final couple of minutes to end this qualifying session here in Imola. Jensen will be the first one to try and rectify that wrong that was set at the start of this session. and at the moment he's only 4 attempts off P13, so he's well off the pace at the moment. So as we go on to this final flying lap, we'll be able to see what Jensen can do. So in towards Ravazza we go for the Racing Bull driver, and it will be Jensen. This will probably be his final run unless he's got enough fuel to go again if he makes any mistakes. So down the pitch straight we go up towards turn 2. Turn 1 is that little kink in the road as we go towards the first and the second chicane. In towards Tamburello, over turn 2, over turn 3. He took a lot more there than he did on his first run around turn 4, and down towards the Villeneuve chicane at turn 5 and 6. That is a lot smoother, using a lot more. That curve, and he's backed out straight away. Wow.
Wow, yeah,
so
Jensen,
he's just not feeling it.
No, he's not. Absolutely. He's not having a good time at this circuit at the moment. Maybe he was down on his delta and we didn't see it, but he is backed well off of that one. He's saving the tyres and the ERS for one more attempt at the end of this session, but he's not going to be happy with where he is right now. Nico, PSF3 reigning champion, coming through the middle sector right now, down towards Aqua Minerale he goes. Does he cut this curb? Very nicely done from Nico there. Maybe even could have cut it more, I think, given how you can cut them on this year's game. 1.5 tenths though, as he has to Variante Alta. Doesn't make the same mistake this time, but a different mistake. Doesn't invalidate, but loses the rear instead on the exit, and that might be session over for Nico. I don't know if he's going to have the ERS to go again here. Goes wide at the penultimate corner. Is he into the pits? No, there's not enough time. He's got to try again. So I think he's going to do probably another outlap. He improves anyway, to be fair.
He did improve, yeah.
So nearly a tenth up despite that, but he'll be disappointed knowing how much more he could have gotten out of that lap. So he's going to stay in 10th place. There's plenty of other drivers coming over the line now. Just under 2 minutes to go in this session, and it's still very much unclear who is going to take pole today. We've got the championship leader Evan Nye coming into the middle sector. What's it going to be across the sector line? It's a 10th up, but he needs a lot more to beat Variante Alta this time. Very nicely done. That was pretty much spot on from the Aston Martin driver. 2 corners to go. Can he nail them here? Maybe a little wide of the apex for the first one. Second one, I think just a slightly different line to other drivers that we've seen through that corner. So to the line, is it enough to beat Ivan Esquig? No! 400ths away. And Evan Nye is not going to be pole today. But who is it going to be? Christian's improving. So is he going to go any faster through the middle sector here? Let's see, across the line. No, he's not. So let's see, anyone else improving? Ivan Esquig has invalidated. Spyros also invalidates. And Sipala, let's see what he's doing in the Alpine across the line. Big lap for Sipala. Goes to P5. Very nicely done. What about the Ferraris? We know Christian's invalidated. Zane, he's got a couple fans in the chat. He does improve into the top 10. Will he stay there, though, is the question. There's plenty of others to come. Chris, does he have time to get one more lap in? Yes, he does. So he will have one more attempt, the Bulgarian. And we saw him on provisional pole earlier. So keep an eye on that McLaren, Nathan.
Yeah, absolutely. So the McLaren of Chris in through turn 4 and down towards turn 5. I think we've got Jensen as well in the Racing Bull. Oh, he was improving, but then he's backed out again. So it is going to be from the back. So Chris is out. Chris is retired.
Oh, dear. Where's he binned it? He's binned it by the looks of things out. Villeneuve. Yeah. Just, I think... I've just saw the skid marks across the track as I was riding on board with Zane, so I think he's just oversteered out of Villeneuve and put it in the wall on the right. But yeah, invalidation from Tom, much to the chagrin of his fans in the chat. So he's going to stay 11th. And really, Nathan, I don't think anyone improved on that final run, really.
In the Mercedes. He's nearly 2 tenths up. The Mercedes driver down in towards Ravazza. And I think he will be the final driver down towards the line, in towards turn 18. He was a 10.5 up. He's right on the limits. He slips and slides. Ivan Esquig goes quicker. Stala goes P4. Ivan Esquig with a 1:13.0 has taken pole here in Imola.
He has indeed. Sieb coming across the line as well. Can he get himself higher than 15th? No, he's way, way down. So Sieb, we'll see what his race pace is going to be like later. But that is your qualifying session. Well spotted for a Starler at the end there, Nathan, as a big improvement from the Mercedes driver got him to the second row. But no one could challenge Ivan Eskrig, who takes pole position here in Imola ahead of the championship leader from Norway, Evan Nye, in the Aston Martin, who's going to be looking all oh so ominous in the mirrors of the Red Bull driver. Christian and Astala make up row 2, and then it's Chris on P5, Sipala P6, then it's Rafi, Spyros, Zviadek and Zane making up the rest of the top 10. Tom down in 11th, Nico in 12th, and it's Phil Jensen, who couldn't get his proper lap in. It's Sieb in P15, also couldn't really get a lap in at all, and Nico didn't even get on track, so I'm not sure what happened to him, but there we have it.
Yeah, your 16 drivers for this Grand Prix.
Indeed, and we'll go straight into the race. Any predictions for the podium in the chat would be welcomed, but Nathan, what are the biggest challenges that drivers face on a 50% race in Imola?
For me, I think the drivers, this strategy has to be right here, because if you get stuck in a DRS train, even if you are on the undercut, if you get stuck in a DRS train here, it will be so difficult to get that overtake. So you're going to need a little bit of clean air. You're going to need that little bit of racing room for these drivers. And then going in towards turn 1, that's going to be your best chance. Sorry, in towards turn 2 at Tamburello, and going some wheel-to-wheel action through turn 2, 3 and 4. That's where you'll see the action. That's where you'll see the overtakes and the drivers battling it through there. And it's about getting the exit out of Ravazza for these drivers. If you get a good exit out of Ravazza, you've got a chance at the overtake. And I think we'll see a lot of the drivers sort of squirreling their way through at the final sector.
Completely agreed, and we might see some differences in setup as well. I'm not sure coming to the sort of highest level of driving in this game how varied the setups can really be, but I know that this track does often offer some drivers going lower downforce than others and just being a complete bullet on the straight down towards the first braking zone. And it's difficult for other drivers, even if they're faster in the corners, to really live with them. So I wonder if we'll see any of that today. Bianchi in the chat saying that it's going to be Ivan, followed by Evan Nye, followed by Tom for the podium. A Tom fan there, putting their man on the podium. But we'll see if that does end up happening in just a few moments' time. And Imola, very tricky track. Especially as the tyres get more worn, and the tyre management on this game a lot different to previous titles, and the drivers are going to have to live with the increased tyre wear at this circuit, especially later in the stint. It's going to be really difficult in the tough braking zones around here.
I think you made a good point there, Ghost. I think the setups for the drivers, and if you know that you're going to have that position in the Grand Prix, I think the downforce is going to play a big factor, and you'll compromise that speed into the corners to, you know, use your defensive IQ, your defensive racing, and then just go down the straights, and you'll be able to sort of adjust the car for the drivers behind using that DRS. But if you've got the straight line speed, I think that'll be on for a winner this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're about to get going then. 3, 4, 5, red lights. And we're underway for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. It's a great start from pole from Ivan Eskrig, but Evan Nye immediately jumps into the slipstream. There's plenty of other drivers changing positions further back, but can the Aston Martin draw alongside the Ferrari of Christian getting involved as well? But the top 3 remain in order. Astala and Chris side by side through the first few corners, but they just about get away with it, and Sapala's trying to get involved down the inside of Villeneuve, but he backs out of that sensibly in the end. He's going to have the outside line though, down towards Tosa. closer, and Chris has to try and fend him off, and does so. Good racing between all of the top 6 there, but in the end they all stay in the order they started. And if we can get position changes on the screen, Zane up 3, great start for the Ferrari driver, and Phil trying to battle to get ahead of Spyros, and does so. So he's up 2. Spyros, horrible start for him, he's down 4 positions already, but most other drivers staying pretty much nose to tail, Nathan.
Yeah, awful start there for Spyros in the Red Bull, down 4 places, as you said. TRT Zane, a lot of fans in the chat, and already up 3 places into P7. Sieb is going through on Jensen, the Williams driver, in towards Ravazza, up the inside of the Racing Bull. He is not waiting for no straights. He is here to race, and through on the Racing Bull he goes. Now, back with the leaders. Ivan Esquig leads to Evan Nye in the Aston Martin. Christian in the Ferrari, chasing down the Aston Martin as we go down in towards turn 1. He goes later on the brakes, in towards Tam, and now they chase through like a train, a bullet train, down towards Varante Villeneuve at turn 5 and 6, and the drivers are just all locked in positions now. This is where it starts to get competitive, and the drivers will struggle to get their moves done, and they'll just have to be patient and wait for that perfect opening opportunity.
Yeah, you nailed it, Nathan. It's sort of the opportunity to make initial moves is pretty much gone now, and Chris struggling for pace at this early stage, 8 tenths behind Astala, as he tries to make sure he stays in the DRS, because otherwise you're going to be so vulnerable down towards the first braking zone. But he's just about done that. And Zane, definitely the best start on the field, up to P7 from 10th on the grid, so he'll be very happy with that one, as we've got Sipala right behind Chris going through the last couple of corners, but not able to make a move. Ivan Esquig is leading the way though from Evan Nye, who's nowhere near close enough to make a move into the first braking zone here, but Astala already with a track limits penalty, and Nathan, I'm sure we're going to see plenty of those today.
Oh, you will. The drivers are on the limit here. They're pushing, absolutely pushing for any sort of extra speed to get to the driver in front, and you'll see a lot of them track limits. Astala is just one of a lot of drivers that will struggle with track limits this evening. Sapala with a little slip into Tosa on the back of Chris in the Papaya McLaren. All the drivers are just locked so closely knit on track. And then Evan Nye still chasing down Ivan Esquig. The one that you've got to worry about here is Christian in the Ferrari. Every time he gets in towards Sector 3, he looks so close to Evan Nye. And it's the same with the Aston Martin driver on the back of Ivan Esquig. Ivan Esquig has got a long evening ahead of him if he wants to be the leader in this Grand Prix.
Yeah, he certainly does, and Chris, I think, is going to have a long evening ahead of him, staying in the DRS of the top 4. He seems to be really struggling in the middle sector especially, and Sepala's right behind him, but there's just no way to overtake, especially with the dirty air, and losing the rear on the exit of a few corners. He's very close on this occasion though, so he might make a little bit of a dive to the inside. As well. Here comes Rafi, yeah, round the outside of Zane. It's a lovely move from the Ferrari driver, catches, from the Sauber driver, sorry, catches the Ferrari driver off guard, and Nico through on Spyros further back as well for P12, but at the front, no changes being made, but Sipala had a look to the inside there for Villeneuve on Chris. Can he make a move into Tosa? He does send it to the inside. Chris sees it coming, but they did collide. I think Sipala was very ambitious with that one, didn't quite work. I don't know if he got damaged. Oh yeah, here comes Tom as well. There's so many moves happening on the field at the moment, and it's Tom up to P9. That'll please the chat, as Videk is demoted down into 10th place. But for now, well, I think we've already seen a lot more moves than we expected at this stage of the race in the middle sector, Nathan.
Definitely, the drivers are not hanging around. They are giving the viewers exactly what we wanted to see. The drivers are here to race, and this is exactly what we wanted from the start of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Ivan Esquig is 7 tenths clear to Christian, the Ferrari driver, only 3 tenths behind Evan Nye. All the other drivers locked within 2, 3, 4 tenths. You've got IRT Phil on his teammate of Zawadek, the 2 Haas drivers. Here comes IRT Phil down towards Tamburello at turn 2 and 3, and the 2 Haas drivers trade places on that 5.
Good move from Phil there, catching Zviadek off guard down towards the braking zone, and he got it done just before they braked. So perfectly executed move there from IRT Phil, who had a very impressive race last time out. Sieb with a big mistake there out of Villeneuve, loses I think 3 or 4 places, just about takes control of the car before he spins it into the wall, but he is down to plumb last. And does he have damage to that Williams? No, I think he's just about okay, but yeah, a bit of trouble there for Sieb, as Chris now again 9.5 tenths, really struggling for pace at the moment through the corners on the top 4, and he's only just staying in the DRS range of Astala, and Sepala's just going to be desperately hoping for him to lose that DRS so he can get by, because he definitely looks the faster of the two at the moment. And yes, to answer you in the chat, is a 3-second time penalty for Astala right now.
Yeah, the drivers still going at it. Just to point out, 7 different constructors in the top 7 at the moment here in Imola. So we have the Red Bull to the Aston, Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren, Alpine and Sauber. Your leading 7 drivers on lap 6 here in Imola. Rafi on Sepala still chasing him down. What about Tom, the fan favourite, on the back of TRT Zane? Only 2 tenths as we come out of the Villeneuve chicane and down towards Tosa at turn 7. The left-handed hairpin VNT Tom looks like he's got a lot more grip though, and gets his foot down a bit earlier, but the straight line speed of that Scuderia in front is just enabling him to just get away from touching him, and the Alpine driver has to get back within that range in through the corners, but the Ferrari driver doing really well through Aqua Minerale, and then back to Sepala in the Alpine, still on the back of Chris. As we said, as you said, Goals, Chris just seems to be edging away every lap, but then he just creeps back in within that DRS range, and he's doing a brilliant job actually to stay within the top 4, considering his pace just doesn't seem like it's just there yet. Maybe struggling with the tyres at the moment, but every single time we come down the DRS straight, he is there and he is getting that rear wing open. Nico in the Aston Martin on Zviadek, and Zviadek is into the pit lane
early, and Tom here making a move on Zane. He gets it done. The Ferrari driver narrowly missed out on DRS to the top 7, and that is the result. Immediately overtaken by the Alpine, and that's Tom up into the top 8 now. But yeah, Chris, I think he might be one of those drivers who's gone for a lower downforce setup, quite possibly, because he seems to gain everything back on the straights, even with the DRS, and then in the corners he's just really struggling to live with the top 4. But like we said, just about staying in at the right time on the track every single lap. A little wide there through the left-hander up the hill, but into Aqua Minerale he's a lot closer again. So Chris is doing just about what he needs to do, but all it takes is 1 lap to lose the DRS, and I'm sure Sepala will sail past into turn 1. And through Variante Alta, a huge mistake from Chris, loses him a few tenths, but once again staying just about within a second. And now Zane, I think, he's already lost DRS to Tom, quite possibly, and Phil is going to be the next one eyeing the Ferrari up for a move after his fantastic start to the race. His race pace doesn't seem to be on par with the start that he had. Sepala, yeah, he just cannot gain any time on Chris down the straight without the DRS advantage. And Zane just about holding Phil off for now, but you have to think it's a 1 lap away, this move.
Yeah, IRT Phil now will know that TRT Zane in the Ferrari has lost that DRS. He's essentially a sitting duck now. IRT Phil, he won't rush this, he'll be patient. He doesn't want to empty the tank to just get 1 move done that is open there for the taking. Every single sector that goes by, Zane is losing more and more time to Tom, who's already up 3 places in that Alpine. He's had a great start to this Grand Prix, but IRT Phil will absolutely be eyeing up that Ferrari in front of him as he come through Aqua Minerale, and it was a little slide there from the Ferrari, and Phil is definitely putting the pressure on that Scuderia in front, and in through Variante Alta at turn 14 and 15, and back down on the throttle just as soon as he feels that grip. He's getting ever so slightly closer. IRT Phil down in towards Ravazza at turn 17 and 18. That Scarlet Ferrari coming around the final corner. corner and then down the DRS straight, but this might be it for the taking for IRT Phil in the Haas, both Ferrari powered cars, but it's the one in white going to the one in red down towards Tamburello, and the Haas driver is through and up to P9. Phil has timed it to perfection.
Yeah, there you go. There's the move we expected to happen, and Zane just not able to live with the race pace of his fellow competitors at the moment, despite his fantastic start to this race. I also noticed Raffi getting very close to the back of Sipala further ahead, and Sieb setting the fastest lap on those hards. I wonder if that's a two-stop from Zviadek and Sieb there. Very early pit stops from them, and the undercut pretty strong around this circuit, so wouldn't surprise me if that's what they're going for, to try and make the two-stop. It does. It is the optimal strategy on this game, which is lovely to be able to say. As Jensen now making a move on Spyros, I think that's got to be a mistake from the Red Bull driver, because he lost a ton of time through Aqua Minerale, so he'll be frustrated with that one. But Chris, once again, staying just about in that 1 second range at the detection point, and Sipala is going to be a very frustrated driver at the moment. The top three staying in order though. Evan Nye, once again, he's right behind Ivan Eskrig. He's not close enough though to make a move into turn into the first braking zone. And Spyros, an early retirement, unfortunately for the Red Bull driver, is going to see him out of this one. And Chris has binned it. Chris is out of the race at Tamburello. I'm not quite sure what's happened there. I think... No, actually, I think he's had a bit of a bug there, maybe. I think he's left the session and it's DNF'd him, or the other way around, he'll be in trouble. But either way, he is out of the race, which is a shame, because he was providing quite a bit of entertainment with Sipala trying to get past him. And that's going to actually be even more frustrating for Sipala in the Alpine, because he's 1.3 behind Astala now, and he's got to push hard to get back in the DRS, because otherwise he's going to see those top four sail into the distance.
Yeah, and the thing is now VNT Tom is up 4 places, IRT Phil is up 5, so these two taking out 9 places between them, but it's opened up the middle of that field. P5, P6, it's just opened it up a little bit. Sapala's not got the DRS, Raffi's not got the DRS, and Tom is left open for another move here. The same with Phil on the back of Raffi, so Raffi will definitely have to push in that kick Sauber.
Evan Nye for the lead. Here on the back of Ivan Eskrig. There we go. He gets it done on Ivan Eskrig. Sorry to cut you off, Nathan. And Evan Nye, for the first time this race, the championship leader takes the lead here in Imola. And Christian, by the way, lost DRS on that lap. So I think possibly a mistake from the Ferrari driver in P3. He's really struggling on these aging mediums now. Much more so than the top two. And Astala in the background as well. But Sipala was not able to get that DRS. Oh, and who's that? That is Christian on the grass on the exit there of the hairpin, and he is now down to 4th place. Astala is ahead, and Christian, I think we're going to see him come into the pits, because he is not having a good time on these mediums right now. We've already seen almost all of the grid come in, or well, more than half the grid come in for the hard tyres. I think with probably a 2-stop is what we're seeing here.
Yeah, I think you're right. Sorry, Ghost. I was just about to say the same thing. Evan Nye looking to make it a hat-trick here, but the tyres at the moment, the mediums are on around 55% after 11 laps. Sapala has got ever so slightly front wing damage, according to my system, and the drivers as well, really struggling on their mediums, so they'll definitely all come into the pit lane on this lap, and they do, but the one that doesn't is Evan Nye, who stays out with another lap on the mediums. I can't help but feel now he's going to be undercut, and he's going to lose the lead of this Grand Prix, and it's going to be quite difficult to get back through on the drivers, because he will probably come out behind 2 or 3 drivers after the pit stops are complete.
Yeah, and both Aston Martins as well staying out, the only 2 drivers to still be on those medium tyres. Sieb now is going to take the lead of the race after that 5-lap undercut with Zviadek behind him. Wow. Ivan Eskrig is behind both of them now. And, well, if they are going for the 2-stop, then this is a bold strategy from them. I honestly don't know, because the hards will have to go 21 laps from here for the drivers who pitted last lap. So the mediums only lasted 11. So I'm really not sure about this one. I have to confess, I don't know the optimal strategy around Imola this year yet. So
to be honest, Ghost, it's just an amazing position as commentators for us to be in, to not know what is going on, to not be able to read the race after 12 laps is just brilliant, especially for the viewers and for us sitting in the commentary box. But Evan Knight does pit now, but that undercut looks massive here, Ghost, at the moment.
Yeah, it does. It really does. From what we've seen from Stevens Viaduct already, Nico stays out for one more lap. The F3 champion trying something different, but Evan Knight's going to come out the pits here, and I think he's going to be behind. But he did look to have managed his tyres very, very well in that first stint. But here we go. How many places are you going to lose? Ivan Eskrig gets his way up to P4, but where's the Aston Martin driver? There's Evan Knight in the background, but he is going to be behind, I think, Astala here. Yeah, Astala sweeps to the inside of the slow-moving Aston Martin and takes 5th place, and Evan Nye now has given himself a lot of work to do. He may have 1 lap fresher tyres, but this is still going to be a mighty challenge for the championship leader to get himself back in the lead of this race. Astala, of course, has a penalty, but Ivan Eskrig now has 2 cars between himself and what was formerly his nearest rival.
That was so close from Astala when he went for that move on Evan Nye. And Evan Nye, there's nothing he could do about it. He was still trying to get the heat into them cold, hard tyres. What I would say is Ivan Eskrig is going to move up to P2 when he gets the overtake on Sieb as we come out of Ravazza and down that DRS straight. VNT Tom picks up a 3-second time penalty, and that could be costly as well. But I don't know what the situation is with Evan Nye here, because he's going to have to overtake at least 3 drivers, and if it is a 2-stop, he's got to go in first if he wants this Grand Prix. Nico, 61% wear are his medium compound tyres now, but here comes Ivan Eskrig in the Red Bull on IRTC, in the Williams, and the Red Bull of Ivan Eskrig is up to P2. What about Zavada? Can he catch him? You've got a Stala there as well. Evan Nye, Rafi, Christian, VNT Tom in the Alpine, they're coming through like a bullet, all chasing down the leader of Nico, who is yet to pit.
That's a great move from Astala, by the way, on the exit of Tamburello down towards Villeneuve. Fantastic stuff from the Mercedes. He just caught Viaduct napping and took the inside line. Lovely stuff from Astala. He's now up to 4th place. It's a net P3 once Nico comes in. I think possibly what might be happening here is these drivers are going for the 2-stop and Nico is trying a 1-stop, or either that, or he's just wanting to catch back up to them on fresher tyres while they're all battling. That might be his plan, but it's certainly something different, and we'll see if it works out for him. Sometimes these wacky strategies can work very, very well, but the championship leader Evan Knight right behind Viaduct, not able to make a move though into Ravazza. He's going to have to try it down towards the first braking zone. Here we go. Does he have the overspeed on the Haas? He's certainly got the slipstream. We're riding on board, going to the inside. Astala making a move on Sieb further ahead, and Evan Knight is going to get that overtake done on Viaduct. Nothing that the Haas driver could do, and that is Evan Knight up to P5 as a net P4 in this race. And he's got 2 more drivers now between him and Ivan Eskrig, but look at the Red Bull driver's gap to Astala, 1.5 seconds. It's a huge opportunity here for Ivan Eskrig to start gapping the rest of the field, just as Evan Knight did last time out in Belgium, as Rafi makes a bold move into Tosa on Viaduct, and he's now up to P6 as Ivan Knight down the inside of Sieb, up the hill. What a move from the Aston Martin. Wow. He's up to P4, and Astala is next in his sights as Christian also making a move further back. There's so many overtakes happening in unexpected positions, and PSF2 really putting on a show tonight.
I tell you what, Evan Knight is doing exactly what a double race winner in this season already would be doing. He is absolutely throwing that Aston Martin around here in Imola. He's already taken out 2 of the drivers with beautifully executed overtakes, and that was another one to add to the highlight reels, and Evan Nye will chase down Astala in that Mercedes, but he is showing some serious gains here after being undercut by the drivers behind. And you have Tom that is going through onto Vardek and the Alpine driver through on the Haas and up to P8, but he does pick up another time penalty. Well, the drivers, there's so many battles going on. Nico's going to be another one. The Mercedes driver is being pushed off, and Zavardek is just trying to hold on everywhere, and Nico as well. Now the leader, 71% tyre, whereas Ivan Esquig in the Red Bull comes wheel to wheel, side by side, down in towards Piratella, and the Red Bull goes up the inside of the Aston Martin as we go down towards Aqua Minerale, but Ivan Esquig takes the lead on lap 16.
I think that was Nico's job here. It was a bit of team play. He was trying to slow down Ivan Esquig to get Evan Nye back within range, but it hasn't succeeded. Ivan with a lovely move there up the hill, and now Nico, instead of slowing down Astala, he moves swiftly out the way. Team orders for Aston Martin, and that is going to be a pit stop straight away for Nico, I'm sure, in the Aston, but I think Astala will be frustrated there. Sieb losing some time as well behind Nico as he dives into the pits finally, but look at this, Evan Nye now right behind Astala, but he's got no ERS at all to fight with the Mercedes, and he's going to have to spend some
Christian
time
and Raffi
charging that back up, as in the background Christian down the inside of Raffi into the Tamburello chicane, and somehow getting that move done. Raffi put two wheels on the gravel there as they went side by side, and Sieb nearly losing it in the background, leaving the door open for VNT Tom into Tosa, and that is the Alpine up to P6, but his penalties, let's get them on the screen. 6 seconds to VNT Tom. That is going to be a harsh penalty for him, as it stands, I believe that will drop him well out of the points, so he's got some work to do here, does the Alpine driver. The top three, meanwhile, have broken well clear of everyone else now. It's Ivan Esquig from Astala, from Evan Nye, and Astala has caught right up to the back of this Red Bull. They're both on equal tyre life. I'm not sure how Astala has managed this after losing so much time behind Nico. Maybe a mistake from the race leader, but either way, Astala now has the DRS. Is he going to be able to make a move into the first braking zone?
Yeah, so down in towards Tamburello for the Mercedes driver, and he's not close enough to make the move, but Raffi is. Raffi in the Sauber on the Ferrari, and Raffi is thrown Christian. Deja vu from the lap before when Christian went through on Raffi, but it's the other way round now, and VNT Tom just watching all the action unfold in front of him. But as you said, the top three, Ivan Esquig, Astala, Evan Nye, have separated themselves away from the rest of the pack. Sauber. It's just such an interesting race. The Aston Martin strategy was brilliant, by the way, absolutely brilliant, for Nico to hold up Ivan Esquig and then to hold up Astala and bring Evan Nye back within DRS range. And remember, his laps are his tyres, are 1 lap fresher, and you look at VNT Tom, he's done 7 laps on them hard, 26% wear on them hard with 15 laps remaining. That is a long way to go, Ghost.
Yeah, Nico's completely sacrificed his own race to do this. I can't imagine that he'll get in the points now, but it might be a perfect strategy for the Astons to get Evan Nye this race win. He's currently in a net P2 after the penalties. Astala not close enough again to Ivan Esquig on this occasion, as Sieb now dives into the pits. Christian and Raffi swap positions once again on the main straight, and the Ferrari up to 4th place once again for the 3rd time between them. But Raffi, I'm sure will want to stick with him just as he's done before, and they'll probably swap again at the next lap in the same part of the track. Sieb is going to come out the pit lane. I think he's going to be in last place here of the running drivers. He is indeed. There go Nico and Zviadek, and Zviadek down the inside of the Aston, in fact, up to P12. But if this is a 2-stop, Nathan, then the drivers who've stopped already might not be out of this yet, but I think that the front runners right now, as Sapala makes a move on Nico down towards Aqua Minerale. I'm not sure how he managed that, but a wonderful move from the Alpine driver. But I think that all of the top 11 here are looking to go to the end on these tyres. It's going to be tricky There's no doubt about it. But I don't think they've got anything else in mind here. Here comes Astala, though, with the DRS. Can he make this move on Ivan? He's closer than he's ever been. He's got some ERS in the tank as well, but I'm sure the Red Bull driver does too. But the race leader under pressure here, Astala, looking to lead the race for the first time, but backs out of it just before the braking zone. But Ivan Eskrig in a world of trouble here as Rafi and Christian swap once again.
Rafi and Christian are just having a race of their own at this point. It's just back and forth between the pair of them. Round 1, 2, 3 and 4 already between the pair of drivers in that Sauber and the Ferrari. Astala very clever there. He could have gone for the move. He could have chanced it, but he won't do that. He will not sacrifice his race at this point. He's got to be patient. He knows that Ivan Eskrig, he's on the same strategy and he's a bit of a sitting duck without that DRS in front. So Astala, he knows he's got to be patient here. He will get that move at some point, but the problem for Astala is that he's got that penalty and he's got Evan Nye behind him as well. So he's got two difficulties coming into the final stages of this Grand Prix. As you were saying with the two-stopper, I think the drivers will try and go to the end, but I do think we will be looking into sort of puncture territory as we get to the remaining sort of 2 or so laps. Astala 3 tenths now behind Ivan Eskrig as we come out of Ravazza, and once again he is extremely close to the Red Bull in front, but so is Evan Nye, and the Mercedes driver into the slipstream of the Red Bull. He's going to burn that battery now as we go down towards Tamburello, but he's not going to be able to get through, and the 2 Alpines also behind do swap places as Sapala gets through on Tom.
Yeah, and this time Christian and Rafi don't swap positions on this lap. Christian not quite close enough to get through, but I think, honestly, Nathan, I think tyre management is going to be the winner of this race between these top 3. Well, at least between Ivan and Evan Nye, I think, because those two have looked the class of the field today. Astala as well, but that track limits penalty is going to cost him big time in this fight for the win. He'll still get a podium by the looks of things, unless we get some drama with a safety car, but he is at the moment not really in the fight for this unless Ivan and Evan get one themselves. But at the moment I think because what we saw in that first stint with Evan Nye managing those mediums a lot better than Ivan did, his hards are also 1 lap younger, and that might not sound like a lot, but especially on a short track like Imola, but I think that is going to make quite a bit of difference into the last few laps of this race, and it could well net Evan Nye the win, because I think all he's doing at the moment, he's not interested in making any sorts of moves. He just wants to manage his tyres, be patient and wait for the last few laps where Ivan, well, he'll be hoping at least that Ivan will be struggling for tyres. Christian getting past Rafi once again, 4P4 further back, but Rafi in the best position right now. Christian does have 3 seconds of track limits penalties, so it's going to be tricky for him to get anything more than probably P6 or 7 out of this one, with Nico close behind in the Mercedes as well. The other Nico, meanwhile, losing 2 positions down towards the first braking zone. He is down to 14th in the running order, and the 2 stoppers are closing in. 16 seconds now from 21 a few laps ago, but is it going to be quick enough for them to get any points out this race? I don't think so, Nathan. I think they're going to run out of laps here.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I'm still trying to keep an eye, just a little left eye on the telemetries here, the weather conditions and the tyre temperatures, and I'm looking at these drivers here. Oh, and Astala picks up another 3 seconds, and that means he will be pushed out of the podiums for Rafi in the Sauber as it stands. So Rafi and Christian, now that Rafi knows that he's got something to play for, but here comes Astala on the back of Ivan Eskrig. This is for the lead of the Grand Prix. He's finally going to go for it round the outside. The Red Bull defends wheel to wheel, and the move has been done. And Astala is into the lead. Evan Nye in the Aston Martin will now come down in towards the Villeneuve chicane, but he backs out on the Red Bull.
Wow, Astala, maximum bravery there from the Mercedes driver. He put 2 wheels on the grass to make that move. Ivan Eskrig was trying to show him the inside, but Astala was not interested. He wanted the outside line to have the inside for the next corner, and that's exactly what he did. And he is now up into the lead of the race, but like you said, Nathan, 6 seconds of track limits penalties for him. As it stands, will drop him off the podium in favour of the Kick Sauber of Rafi, but given the way these top three are pulling away from the rest at this point, I still think Astala's got a great shot at a podium here, and he's actually gapping Ivan Esquig. He's got some fantastic race pace in that Mercedes right now. Ivan is not going to get DRS here if he's not careful. That was very close to the detection point. I don't think he has it. Let's right on board with Evan Knight to see if that rear wing opens on the Red Bull. Ivan with a slightly compromised line out the last corner. Does he have DRS? No, he doesn't. So there's a big opportunity here for Evan Knight. Can he get the move done down towards the first braking zone? He's closing, but he's not close enough. He stays behind, and Ivan uses everything he's got left in the battery to keep that position. Christian back past Raffi again, but Raffi looking good at the moment for at least 4th place, unless he gets overtaken by Sepala here. Defends to the inside, does Raffi, and Sepala not able to find a way through. But these two Alpines definitely looking for a race with this Kick Sauber driver right now.
They are indeed. And Sepala, he's fighting for a podium against Raffi here as they go up towards Piratella, because if he can get through on Raffi and stay within 6 seconds of Astala, then the podium is on. Ivan Esquig, even though he didn't have the DRS, he was able to close the gap on Astala, so you can tell the setup differences between the drivers. Astala was a lot quicker through the corners, but then down the straight, he sort of just caught back up to the Red Bull driver, and that's why Evan Knight was not able to get the move done even with the rear wing open. So as you said right at the start, Ghost, the different setups you'll see from these drivers. Looking at the tyre pressures, Ghost, 55% for Nico. He's on 14 lap old hards. These other drivers are on 12 and 13. That is worrying with 7 laps to go. This is going to be really close, and I think you made a great point about the tyres being 1 lap fresher for Evan Knight. I think that will make a huge difference, as you said.
Yeah, it might well do. Raffi and Christian swap again. Ivan very close to the back of Astala on this lap. And by the way, I think, Nathan, we were too quick to write off the 2-stop. Sieb is now 9 seconds behind Jensen. And although Jensen is quite a way off the rest of the field on pure pace right now, he's 5 seconds away from Zane. Sieb and, Zviadek is actually 1.7 behind as well as Nico right now. But Sieb certainly looks to be very quick at the moment on these hard tyres. And he might well be able to fight his way back into the points here at least. He's got that 3-second penalty, so does Zane, so he just has to clear the Ferrari, and then he'll be at least salvaging something from this race with that bold strategy of the 2-stopper. And yes, Max in the chat, a few drivers have gone for the 2-stop here. Sieb, Zviadek and Nico all doing that. Or actually, Nico he's still on the 1-stop actually. He just pitted very, very late on the mediums. But Sieb and Zviadek definitely for the 2-stops. And we'll see what happens with them. Ivan Esquig, is he close enough? Not on this occasion. Down towards the first braking zone, but he is in the position he needs to be in to win this race with Astala's time penalty. Christian now ahead of Raffi for P4 once again. These two behaving very well with each other at the moment, just keeping the Alpines frustrated, especially Sepala, who doesn't have a penalty to his name. Raffi knows his main battle is with him for this 4th place. He might well still get a podium, but Astala now has pulled the 6 seconds he needs to the Kick Sauber driver. So I think the podium is slipping away from Raffi at the moment, but still P4 would be a fantastic result.
Yeah, it would. P4 is still a great result for Raffi and Sepala. That's what they're battling for. Astala's beginning to take away, and that 6 seconds is going to be dormant soon. But what I would say is, VNT Tom picks up a 3-second time penalty once again. And Christian in the Ferrari with that time penalty, so it's all about Sepala and Raffi. And these Christian and Raffi have been showcasing exactly how you go racing on F1 25. They have gone lap after lap after lap with overtake after overtake. Evan Knight now is closing the gap on Ivan Esquig at the top, though, just looking at the timing boards. But Sepala on the back of Raffi, there's just everything happening everywhere. Here he goes, and we just don't know where to look as they do close the gap. And Raffi around the outside of the Ferrari, that's where he needs to stay. And Sepala on the back of that Scuderia, who is starting to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, lovely from Raffi there. He turned defence into attack. Sepala was right behind him looking for the move, but Raffi instead went past Christian into the first braking zone, and the Ferrari driver let him do it. So Christian all too happy to keep swapping positions here with Raffi, especially with the penalty that he does have. But yeah, it's tough down towards turn 2 to make a move on a driver who's already got DRS, and that's going to make things tougher for Sepala. 3-second time penalty for him now as well, and Raffi is firmly in the driving seat for P4. No one behind him has got any chance of overtaking him and staying there with their penalties. But the chat not particularly happy about Raffi getting, in their words, robbed by the two stoppers, creating this gap to the top 3. But that is racing, and Raffi, although he might be frustrated, he is certainly maximising his results so far. Although his tyres, by the way, are 2 laps older than Evan Nye's, 1 lap older than the 2 drivers behind. So he is going to struggle for tyre wear towards the end, and I do think we're going to be into puncture territory by the last couple laps. And I wouldn't be surprised to see 1 or 2 drivers getting a puncture out there.
Yeah, I agree. I think coming into the final couple of laps, it's going to be so close out there, and the drivers are going to have to start to look after these tyres. As you said previously, Sieb is just flying through the grid at this point. It's probably a little bit too much for him to do at this stage in the Grand Prix with 4 laps remaining, but you never know what can happen in front. Once them drivers drop off of that cliff, it is game over, and that's when they'll start to catch up. Evan Nye here, he is racing for the race win against Ivan Esquig, so Ivan Esquig could be clever about this. He could leave a Styler in front knowing that the race win is here for him. He might not want to go for the overtake. We've thought about Ivan Esquig going for that move, but he might be playing this very smart. He might be staying behind a Styler to get that DRS every lap, maybe even slowing down coming out of Ravazza and then speeding back up with the rear wing open to keep Evan Nye behind, because he knows with that time penalty the race win is in the bag at this point.
Yeah, I think Ivan does have a legitimate pace deficiency going down as here comes Sepala on the inside of Raffi. Backs out just before turn 2, but that was close. That was very, very close to a move. And here we go again down towards Villeneuve. Sepala just not quite able to make any sort of move. Raffi Here comes Sepala again. He's got the outside lane, switches to the inside before Tosa, and there's contact, and he's round. And the 2 Alpines have come together. Disaster for the Enstone outfit. Sepala out of this race. Tom loses his front wing, and it is an absolute calamity for Alpine. We've got yellow flags throughout. I think it's a VSC across the whole circuit here, so that will give Ivan Esquig a little bit of breathing room here from Evan Nye, but he's got to make sure he doesn't lose the DRS to a Styler during the VSC. All too easy to do if you lose track of the Delta. But that is horrible, horrible luck for the Alpines, and that might well gift a point to IRT Sieb if he can clear Jensen and Tom here. Tom's got front wing damage. We've got green flags now. Once again, Ivan has managed to stay in DRS, so that's crucial for him as here comes Tom with wing damage. It doesn't matter. He goes down the inside of Ravazza or Nico, and he's up to P8. Well, he's certainly giving it a go despite the wing damage. He's going to stay out. Why not? No point in pitting now, as he's got the DRS, and he will be able to keep that Mercedes behind, as Zane and Phil swapping positions as well further back, and that's really given Raffi a huge sigh of relief, I think. He's now only got a battle with Christian, who's got the time penalty, so I think Raffi has got P4 in the bag here, and it might well even be P3 if Astala gets himself another penalty. The gap at the moment is 8.6 between Astala and Raffi, so it's very, very close with 2.5 laps to go. Astala's got to be careful not to get another penalty as he goes very close to the inside there of Aqua Minerale. I don't know if that would have been a warning, couldn't quite see from the cockpit cam, but he's doing a good job out there in the Mercedes despite the penalties he's got, and that might well end Evan Nye's chance at winning this race. A 3-second time penalty with just 2.5 laps left to go, and Ivan Esquig now He's just got to keep it clean to win this one. But even so, he won't want to let Evan Nye through, because you never know what can happen in the stewards room afterwards. He might be able to get it removed, so Ivan still will want to win this on track.
Yeah, and I think that was such a ballsy move, by the way, from Tom with that missing end play. But Ivan Eskrig is now catching up to Astala, and Evan Knight, he knows now he has to get the move done on Ivan Eskrig to move away from the Red Bull driver to have a chance at winning this Grand Prix. He knows he'll have to get past Astala, hold Astala up, and try to move away. Will he find 3 seconds? Probably not, but it's going to be so close.
Yeah, Evan Knight had a little go there. He had a look there in towards Tosa on Ivan Eskrig, but I think it was half-hearted attempt from him with just 1.5 laps left to go. The chat reacting to the Alpine disaster earlier on, but we're concentrated on the battle for the lead as Evan Knight completely cuts Aqua Minerale there. He's decided that he's already got a 3-second penalty, so you've got a couple warnings in hand, really. Once you get a penalty, you can freely get a couple more if necessary to gain an advantage as Zvidek goes round further back, and that completely ends any chance of him getting points. But Sieb did manage to get past Jensen. He's gapped him by 2.4 already, and so I think Sieb is going to be able to salvage a point at least out of this race. But Ivan Eskrig now onto the final lap, and he's looking to take the lead of the Grand Prix on circuit, and does so into turn 1. Ivan Eskrig, he's controlled this race absolutely brilliantly, and he is now leading the race from the front with just 1 lap left to run. Evan Nye with a penalty, Astala with 2 penalties, and Christian, by the way, Nathan, while we weren't watching, look at the gap between Christian and Raffi. Raffi's tyres just completely dropped off a cliff, and 3.4 behind. He is looking like he's going to lose P4 at this rate. Christian might well just about be able to get it.
Raffi obviously done 21 laps on them hard compounds, but Ivan Eskrig, he didn't want to get it by a penalty. He wanted to win it on track. The Red Bull driver coming down in towards Varante Alta. It's been a fantastic Grand Prix here at Emilia Romagna. Sieb is out. He's crashed it down in towards Aqua Minerale. So the Williams driver is out on the final lap, but in towards Ravazza we go. Ivan Eskrig, the back-to-back wins from Evan Nye has been taken away. He's put a stop to it here, and Ivan Eskrig wins the Imola Grand Prix. Evan Nye takes P2. Astala will keep P3, but it looks like Christian in that Scuderia will keep P4 away from Raffi in the Sauber.
Yeah, the people in the chat saying that Raffi was just praying not to get a puncture, and he did survive in the end, but he's only P5 as a result. Zane comes across for P6, Nico 7th, Phil in 8th. Jensen gets a couple points out of this race, which I don't think he would have been expecting. But keeping it clean paid dividends. Sieb binning it right at the end and losing the chance to get points. And VNT Tom, despite the damage, does manage to salvage a point from this race. So he'll be at least decently happy with that, but frustrated with the collision with his teammate. But there we have it. What a race here in Imola. And, well, this circuit in real life can produce some boring races sometimes with the DRS trains, and even in game. Honestly, I wasn't expecting a race with that many overtakes and that many close moments, and we had a fair share of drama as well. So a fantastic day of racing for PSF2, and as we go into the final results here, Ivan Eskrig wins the Imola Grand Prix. Wonderful, wonderful drive from him as Evan Nye, the Norwegian driver, finally, well, I say finally, it was only 2 races, the streak, but it does come to an end as he finishes 2nd place today, but does nonetheless extend his championship lead substantially given the lack of last today. Astala comes home in P3, making it a double Scandinavian podium with Christian in P4. Raffi losing out with the tyres at the end, but does salvage 5th place. Zane, Nico, Phil, Jensen and Tom salvaging the last point with Zvidek. Nico stealing the fastest lap away with Sieb and Sipala the last of the finishers. Chris and Spyros unable to finish this race. Although, well, Sieb and Sipala Didn't finish either, but classified to finishing over 90%. What a race, Nathan. That was absolutely fantastic. And
Incredible. Unbelievable.
who do you think is driver of the day from today?
I mean, there's a few, Ghost. There is a few. You could give it Ivan Eskrig for a brilliant race win. I mean, Raffi as well had a great race in the Sauber, finishing P5. Christian in the Ferrari, but it's just so many ones. Who do you think should have driver of the day, Ghost?
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? There's so many contenders, but I think for controlling the race from start to finish, despite having some tricky moments there throughout. He had to make some moves at crucial times, and he had to keep Evan Nye behind and keep the pressure on for a long time. I think it has to go to Ivan Eskrig today. It's always a bit boring to give it to the race winner, but I do think he
that's
it.
What I was thinking, but that's why I said Ivan Eskrig, and then obviously a few of the others, because it is boring always to give it to the race winner, but when they deserve it, like Ivan has today, to keep Evan Nye behind, to stay with Astala, to race the race that he did, and to also qualify on pole position, I think it's just a perfect all-round Grand Prix from the Red Bull driver.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Well, that is going to be that for this week in PSF2. I hope you all enjoyed in the chat, because we certainly did in the commentary box. That was a fantastic race. Really enjoyed that one. We will be back next week heading to Silverstone. What a circuit. And really looking forward to that one. Absolutely, Nathan. Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic race once again. And can Evan Nye extend his championship lead even further? Because he's got a massive lead now with Lars unable to race today. So big opportunity for Evan Nye to win this championship at this early stage, Nathan.
Yeah, definitely, and he's got that gap now, and obviously, as you said, Lars not racing as well, so he just needs to stay consistent. Now Evan Nye needs to turn up to Silverstone and get another great result. He's finished P1 and P2. You know, consistency like that is what wins you championships.
Absolutely, and well, even if Evan Nye wins the Drivers' Championship in a blowout, which there's no guarantee, it's very early days, even if he does have a big lead, the Constructors, I think, is going to look a lot closer. So we'll update you on that when the standings come through next week. So keep an ear out for that, because we'll be talking about it in qualifying. But for now, I think that is going to be that for this week. So have a fantastic rest of your week, everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the PSGL official YouTube channel if you haven't already. But I have been Ghost, and my co-commentator has been Nathan. And we'll see you all next week for more PSGL. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.